The writing style for this story just reminds me so much of Robin McKinley and some of her classical fairy tale retellings, with the way the main character is done and just the overall world is built, and I absolutely adored it for it. Hi guys, it's April, and I'm gonna do this review the same way I do all of my other reviews. I'm gonna have a non-spoiler section up front, followed by a spoiled fill dump afterwards. In case you don't want to spoil yourself, I'll let you know when that transition happens. But I will not judge you if you decide to stay. I'm just super excited that you're here. I did receive a copy of Among the Beasts and Briars by Ashley Poston from Netgalley for a free and honest review, but that in no way has swayed my opinion on this book. But I wanted to let you guys know that that was the case. Among the Beast and Briars is the story of Kiris, who is the gardener's daughter of Aloria. This is a kingdom in which a magic crown sits on the head of the ruler of the kingdom, which protects them from outside magic. Aloria is right next to a magical wood where dark, sinister things live, and so it's always been held that you must never go into the woods. Kiris has a beautiful relationship with the siblings, the prince and princess of this kingdom, but this relationship is also connected to her dark past in which her mother sadly passed away. This whole story follows Kiris as tragedy strikes the kingdom during coronation, and she must figure out a way to save both her kingdom and possibly the wild woods. There's something so whimsical about the way the story is written. It very much comes back to those classic fairy tales. You get that vibe as you're reading the story. You can feel it embedded in the world building. And so it has this airy, almost chaotic feel to it. And I loved it for that. Kiris and our other protagonist, Fox, in which we get dual perspectives of, I liked seeing that switch happen so that we get more of a feel for everything that is going on. I could tell where a lot of this story was going, and some of the choices made by our main protagonist kind of grated me because of how hypocritical and double standard they were. There were some issues there where Kiris was pointing out flaws in other people in which she herself has, and there was this obliviousness to her that sometimes was a little bit too much. But overall, I loved seeing the whole buildup of beginning to end as she slowly discovered what was actually going on and connecting with other characters in the story as she goes on this journey. It has a lot of those classic fairy tale elements. I could see the inspiration that she pulled from some of those lesser known fairy tales, which I really have to appreciate, with various different elements of animal and magic, and that it just kind of brings you back to some of those old world places, and I liked it for that. I know this story probably isn't for everyone. It would have been really wonderful if this was much longer and even more in depth than it was, but what I got was something that was just magical to get into and just an overall warm, fun read, and I enjoyed it for that. So would I recommend this book? Yes, if you really, really love fairy tale retellings, if you just need something to bring you to that happy place, this book is it. However, this is the point in which I'm going to start going into some spoiled-filled sections. So if you don't want to spoil yourself, this is a time in which you go and read the book, because I highly recommend that you do, because yes, please do. And of course, tell me down below if you are going to read it, because I need to know these things. There was, at the very beginning, I think it was more of my mood issues with reading this book. I was into this book, but I didn't really start binging it until about halfway through. This was a quick read, and it was very easy to get into. And the world building, while not completely fleshed out, very much satisfied me for everything that was going on. From the very beginning, I could tell that Fox was, of course, the lost prince. That one was clear cut, of course. And it was kind of obvious that Kiris's mom was from the city within the forest. Even though we didn't get the clear background of her mother, it became very obvious that her mother was the daughter of the Grandmaster of Vorin. I'm kind of disappointed that that point wasn't ever completely made. It was just alluded to, and you had to put your own, or you had to put it together yourself, and none of the other characters actually connected that. I think it's fairly obvious that is the case. I would be surprised if it wasn't. There's a lot of connections there that just wouldn't make sense otherwise. And I think my favorite part of this whole book is the fact that Fox and Cyrus, or as he calls her, Daisy, they have those nicknames for each other. And it's so sweet that they continue to call each other by those names, Daisy and Fox, even when he comes out as being the prince, even though he didn't know that. I just love that they hold on to those names, and the fact that there is a lot of progressiveness embedded in this story, but in a way that's not blatantly saying that this whole book is about that. I mean, they had the princess still become queen, which is nice. And there's also this ability to form relationships with anybody you want, and no one seems to bat an eye at all throughout any of the kingdoms, which is good to see. So there are these like little niblets of those kind of things that were kind of interesting. I do wonder if there's going to be more in this universe, especially with the fact that Daisy and Fox are going to be traveling, and the fact that we never really got the final answer on Daisy's mother. I don't think we will, though, but we could. It could be interesting. I don't know. I'd read it, because at this point, Ashley Poston is fastly becoming one of my favorite authors, and I would love to see more work by her. Otherwise, those are my thoughts on this book. Tell me down below what you thought of this read. I believe on Goodreads, people are all over the place about this book. I really enjoyed it. So that's just me. Just tell me down below your thoughts. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe, hit that bell, get all of those notifications, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.